The forest is on fire. You did not start it. Lightning did, or a rock fall, or the summer heat on dry grass. It doesn't matter what started it. What matters is that it is moving. Fast, orange, roaring. And it is coming this way. And unlike almost every other terror in this series, fire does not have a pattern you can learn. It does not have a schedule. It does not stay in one place. It moves, it decides, it has wants. Hi, I'm your narrator. Today we're covering humanity's ancient terror of fire, and the remarkable fact that this thing that terrified us so completely became the single most important technological achievement in human history. We are literally arguing that fire is more important than the wheel. The wheel needs roads, fire needed a stick. Meet Grog. He has survived disease, volcanoes, the dark, thunderstorms, earthquakes, and wild animals. He has a dog now. He feels good about his situation. And then the forest catches fire and everything is orange and moving, and Grog discovers the seventh terror, which is, in some ways, the most spectacular. For perspective, a large wildfire moves at approximately 14 miles per hour in open terrain. Grog, running at full sprint, can manage approximately 12 miles per hour. Grog has already done this math approximately. The earliest evidence of controlled fire use by our ancestors goes back roughly 1 to 1.5 million years ago. At a site called Wonderwork Cave in South Africa, there is evidence of fire use by Homo erectus, who preceded us by over a million years. What that earliest fire looked like, whether it was captured from wildfire or produced by striking rocks together, we don't know precisely. What we know is that by approximately 400,000 to 500,000 years ago, controlled fire use was widespread among early human species. What did fire do to us? The answer, according to paleoanthropologist Richard Wrangham and his cooking hypothesis, is that it made us human. Cooking food dramatically increases the caloric availability of almost anything you eat. You extract more energy from cooked food than raw food. Cooked food requires less chewing time. Homo erectus had smaller teeth and smaller jaws than earlier hominins, and began allocating that jaw energy toward a bigger brain instead. The argument: cooking did not just change how we ate, it changed what we were. Fire also changed where we could live. It kept predators at bay. Large animals avoid fire. It extended the useful hours of the day into darkness. It provided warmth that allowed migration into cold climates where humans had no biological business surviving. So naturally, every culture on Earth told a story about where fire came from. And almost universally, the story involved stealing it from something more powerful. Prometheus in Greek mythology stole fire from the gods of Olympus and gave it to humanity. Zeus was furious, not because fire was dangerous, though it was, because fire was power. Whoever controls fire controls warmth, cooking, metalworking, warfare, agriculture. To give fire to humans was to fundamentally shift the balance of power between mortals and gods. Zeus punished Prometheus by chaining him to a rock and having an eagle eat his liver every day. Every night the liver regenerated. Every day the eagle returned. This is a mythology about intellectual property and the consequences of open source distribution. The Cherokee tell of a world with no fire, where only the thunderbirds possessed it, on a sycamore tree on an island. The water spider wove a bowl from her silk, carried a coal across the water, and delivered fire to the people. The Polynesian demigod Maui stole fire from the underworld, received a fire lesson from his grandmother, and distributed it across the islands. Across cultures, fire is never found. It is always stolen, gifted, or earned through trickery. This is significant. Fire was not mundane. Fire was divine, contested, precious. Some cultures elevated fire from useful tool to central deity. Zoroastrianism, one of the world's oldest monotheistic religions, founded in ancient Persia around 1500 to 1000 BC, holds fire as the supreme symbol of the divine. Zoroastrian temples maintain sacred fires that burn continuously. Some of these fires have been burning for over 1,500 years without interruption. The Atash Baram fire in Udvada, India, has burned continuously since 721 AD. Sacred fires that are literally older than most countries. Agni, the Hindu god of fire, is the divine messenger between humans and gods, the conduit through which offerings reach the divine realm, because fire transforms physical things into their spiritual essences. Without Agni, prayers don't arrive. Fire as infrastructure. And then there were the disasters. The Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD burned for 6 days and destroyed 3 of Rome's 14 districts while substantially damaging 7 more. The Emperor Nero was widely accused of starting it. In fact, the evidence suggests he wasn't even in Rome when it started, and he organized relief efforts. But he also used the devastated land to build his enormous palace, the Domus Aurea, which did not help his reputation. The story that he fiddled while Rome burned combines 2 historical inaccuracies. The fiddle wasn't invented yet, and he probably wasn't there. The Great Fire of London burned for 4 days in September 1666, starting in a bakery on Pudding Lane. It destroyed 13,200 houses, 87 churches, St. Paul's Cathedral, and most of the buildings of the medieval city of London. It killed fewer people than expected. Officially, only 6 deaths are recorded, though historians believe the actual toll was much higher, as poor people's deaths were less carefully documented. The fire was so devastating it reshaped London entirely, and accidentally created the insurance industry. After the fire, property owners began pooling resources to protect against future disasters. The Chicago Fire of 1871 is often blamed on Mrs. O'Leary's cow knocking over a lantern. This story is almost certainly fictional. It was invented by a journalist who later admitted he made it up. The fire burned approximately 2,100 acres and killed at least 300 people. What it actually revealed was that a rapidly growing city full of wooden buildings and inadequate water pressure was extremely flammable. The lesson was building codes, fireproofing, and better urban planning. So what is fire actually? Fire is a chemical reaction, combustion, in which a fuel reacts with oxygen to produce heat and light. 3 things are required: fuel, heat, and oxygen. Remove any one of them and the fire stops. This is the fire triangle, and understanding it is the basis of all firefighting. The Romans had one of history's earliest organized fire brigades, the Vigils, established by Augustus Caesar around 6 AD. 7,000 men organized into cohorts to patrol Rome at night with buckets, the first professional firefighters. Today, fire remains simultaneously an essential human tool and an uncontrolled force of enormous destructive potential. The western United States now experiences what fire ecologists call a fire season that lasts almost year-round in some regions, driven partly by climate change, partly by a century of fire suppression that allowed fuel to accumulate. The fires are getting larger. The fires are moving faster. In 2020, the campfire in California moved fast enough to outrun cars. The grog problem was never really solved. We just got better at choosing where the fire goes.